So who remembers this little nugget from the end of Discovery Season 2?
Yes, Captain. Let us see what the future holds.
Ready for warp, sir.
Hit it.
I wonder if we've already met some of the crew for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Well, if this is your first contact with us guys, welcome aboard. My name's Carl Bromley, and this is the Trekkies Guide to the Galaxy. Now, living in the UK means that I've only seen the first season of short treks that sit between seasons 1 and 2 of Discovery. But I do know that in the second season of short treks, there are some episodes based aboard the USS Enterprise under the command of Captain Pike. So it's entirely possible that there's fresh information in there that I'm not aware of, or even new characters introduced. And if that's the case, and by the end of this video you feel I've missed anything, by all means, drop it into the comments down below and we can discuss. So, in the two-part finale to Season 2 of Discovery, entitled Such Sweet Sorrow, we get to see a lot of detail on the bridge of the USS Enterprise, and we also get to see quite a few of the crew members and also find out their names. Now, I think there are three things that we need to consider about the setup for Strange New Worlds. Firstly, let's assume that the series has been in the pipeline since Discovery Season 2. There have been plenty of rumours around over the past 12 months about Strange New Worlds, including quotes from the producers, namely Alex Kurtzman, that lead us to believe that the gang at Secret Hideout have been working on this incarnation for quite some time now. Second, I think everyone was impressed when they saw just how much detail had been put into the set for the new Enterprise bridge. I mean, look at this thing. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's pulled in elements from all over Trek for die-hard fans to get excited about. It's got the traditional bridge layout that we're all familiar with from the original series. Over on Mr. Spock's workstation, it's got the circular black and white science display that looks like some sort of hypnosis device. On the Hellman navigation stations, which have got some of the most recognisable features, we've got our big blinky red light, we've got the circular navigation chart, we've got the extendable arm with the scanner viewer on the end of it. We've even got what looks like actual physical buttons. And all of this has been coupled with what looks like the computer output displays from the movie era Trek, including the fantastic red alert screen. Now, I get that these new Star Trek series have got some of the biggest production budgets of any TV show ever, but really, that thing must have cost some serious money to put together. And if I had to guess, I would say that they've spent the money now to be able to save it later. And that can only be a good thing, because that's going to mean that there's more money to spend on other things, whether it be special effects, whether it be guest stars on the show, or whether it just be that we get more episodes. Now, I know there are going to be fans that complain about this being too futuristic, considering it's supposed to be the same ship that we see in the original series. Exactly the same as some people complained about when we saw the Enterprise herself at the end of Discovery Season 1. But are you seriously trying to tell me that if they'd have had this sort of budget and technology way back in the 60s, that they wouldn't have done this? Of course they would. Well, let us know what you think in the poll that's on screen now and also down in the comments below. Also, let's be honest, if a series launched today with those old style sets, there is no way it would ever gain a new audience. And let's not forget, folks, Star Trek isn't just for the existing fan base. As Dr. Phlox says to T'Pol in the Enterprise episode The Andorian Incident, you know, thinking about it, T'Pol could probably make a guest appearance in Strange New Worlds, being that Vulcans live for a couple of hundred years. Anyway, as Dr. Phlox says to T'Pol in that episode, infinite diversity in infinite combinations. Anyway, the third point to consider is that the bridge crew that we've seen so far on the Enterprise in Discovery is actually a fairly complete lineup. Of course, you have number 1, brilliantly played by Rebecca Romijn, and you can definitely see traits of the character that Majel Barrett played back in the original pilot episode, The Cage. But the character's had new life breathed into it by Rebecca, and she's obviously going to be a force to be reckoned with on this series. I'm actually quite interested to see more about how she's portrayed that character in the short treks when they're released here in the UK in July. Next to her, we have our navigation officer, Lieutenant Amin, played by Samora Smallwood, and I understand that she also appears in one of the short treks, Q&A, so I think it's fairly safe to assume that she'll be in our main lineup. So as we move to the outlying stations on the bridge, the first one we come to is the science station, and as we all know, Mr. Spock is the science officer aboard the Enterprise. Now, we don't see him in that position until right at the end of Season 2 of Discovery, when he shaves off his beard and he dons the appropriate blue uniform to arrive on the bridge as the Mr. Spock that we all recognise. Now, I know some people said they weren't keen on Ethan Peck's portrayal of the character, saying that he was too stern and didn't show enough of his human side. But let's not forget, this is a very young Mr. Spock. He's only been on the Enterprise a couple of years at this point, and by the time he teams up with Captain Kirk, he'll have been on there for over a decade. A person can, well, a Vulcan can change an awful lot in that time. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how Ethan Peck portrays the change of the character to become the person that we meet in the original series. And the title of the show lends itself to that, Strange New Worlds. It's just as suited to exploring characters as it is to exploring space. And besides, I quite liked Ethan's version of Spock. As we move round from the science station, we come to Lieutenant Mann, played by Hanique Talbot, and throughout the battle with the Section 31 ships that are being controlled by Control, really must try not to use that term again, Lieutenant Mann is working the tactical position, and I see no reason why we can't expect to see her there in the new series. To the rear of the bridge, we have Lieutenant Nicola, played by Chai Valadares. Hope I've said your name right. He plays our communications officer, and his character's name bears a remarkable resemblance to the name of the actor that would go on to play the communications officer under Captain Kirk. Nice little homage, I think, there to Nichelle Nichols. We move around again and we come to a very noticeable female character played by the stunt actress Nicole Dickinson. Dressed in the blue Science Division uniform, this character would appear to be medical personnel, as her only lines throughout the show are to inform us of the casualties sustained on the Enterprise during its battle with the Section 31 ships that are under the control of... Control. Damn it! Now, although this character's name is never actually said on screen, it is referenced in the end credits as Yeoman Colt. Now, this is again an homage to another character, which was Captain Pike's personal yeoman from the original pilot, The Cage. And that character's name was also never mentioned on screen. It was only ever referenced in the original scripting and material. So again, I think that's quite a nice little homage there. But she reminds me very much of another unnamed alien in the Star Trek universe. But whatever name and species befalls the character, I think she would be a fantastic addition to the crew, adding more diversity and opening up potential storylines for us to explore. And after all, that is kind of what the title hints at. And finally we come to the big chair and the man himself, Captain Christopher Pike. So much has already been said about this character and the tremendous job done by Anson Mount in his portrayal of Captain Pike, including by myself in my last video, which I'll link to at the end of this one. But just to add to what I've already covered, which was mainly about the character of Pike and not so much about Anson, I think that the way the character was played was absolutely fantastic. And I think we can all agree that the character of Pike is one of the highlights from Discovery Season 2. To play a character that's supposed to embody the very best of Starfleet, to be the perfect captain, but not come across as arrogant or overconfident, he's likeable. And that goes to show what a fantastic job Anson Mount did with this character. He shows that he's got the same respect for the character of Captain Pike that Captain Pike has for the crew under his command. Now that brings us to the end of our exploration of the potential new characters for Strange New Worlds. Now I would just like to make clear that I've not seen any news or articles that in any way confirm any of the stuff that I've said on this video. It's purely a thought that popped into my head and I thought I'd share it with you guys. But hey, if anyone from CBS or Secret Hideout is watching, it does kind of make sense, to me anyway, to go with this crew. It seems diverse and yet well balanced, and I think gives us plenty of opportunity for character exploration. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Smash that like button if you have. Consider subscribing to the channel and then tap the bell for notifications and you'll find out whenever we post any new content. And until next time, set a course for Strange New Worlds, maximum warp. Engage.